Hey, what's up there, YouTubers? It's me again, Brian, aka Gamer55551, and I am back with a My 2 Cent video for this week, for the week of January 24th to the 30th, though. And we got 4 stories to cover for this week, and some pretty interesting ones, though. We have reports about Sega might be up for sale in a way, or at least some speculations that's been popping up. The whole saga involving GameStop and its stock and everything like that got like a big headline, to the point that even the press secretary for the President of the United States had a response, which is just weird in a way, to be exact. We also have Platinum Games announcing a 5th title, originally part of their Platinum 4, but announcing this 5th one, plus some interesting things in regards of Astro Chains, and some comments about Bayonetta 3 that Hideki Kamiya has made that, well, let's just say, I would more likely say that it sounds like he has a history of putting his foot in his mouth sometimes. And some interesting things regarding the Xbox, including Microsoft admitting a mistake they made in regards of Xbox Gold, to basically new rumors about a possibility of another acquisition and all that stuff. But before we get started, though, we'll get started with our quick My 2 Cents stories that kind of caught my attention and all that, or at least somewhat caught my attention, but I'm not going to go into a huge amount of details and all that stuff. First one we want to talk about is that Warner Brothers Games is going to be will be heavily focused on live services for like their upcoming titles and all that stuff. And I'm a little kind of mixed on that, because we've seen how some companies have pushed the live service to the point that it doesn't always pan out as it always should be. I mean, look at the backlash. Look what happened with Ubisoft with Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Breakpoint, and how that had a negative impact. Look at games like Anthem and Marvel's Avengers as another example of the whole push with the live service, and how that didn't exactly has been well received. So I'm not really sure about Warner Brothers Games doing this. It could work for them, but it can also backfire for them at the same time. We'll have to wait and see how it all plays out, especially with games like their upcoming Suicide Squad game from Rockstar and all. The next thing we want to talk about is that, next thing I want to point out is that there is a rumor going on that supposedly Resident Evil 7 might be getting a Xbox Series X upgrade and all that, though. Now, it is worth pointing out Devil May Cry 5 got a upgrade as well, I think on the Xbox Series S and X, and I think the PS5. And assuming this rumor is true, and I'm leaning towards more than likely it probably is, though, if we're going to see an Xbox Series S and X upgrade for Resident Evil 7, then it's only a matter of time before we hear something about like an upgrade of Resident Evil 7 for the PlayStation 5 and all. But for now, it is a rumor at this time, so we don't know 100% if it's accurate or not. The next thing we do want to talk about is the fact that apparently that Madden 21 has officially come to Google Stadia and all. Again, I'm not a big sports person and all that stuff, but for those who enjoy football or sports games and all, something to add to your Stadia library if that's something that clicks with you. And last but not least, supposedly we have a set date for Biomutant, the game that was THQ Nordic show that was made by former members who worked at Aulx Studios, that was announced for the PS4 and Xbox One, and at one point it was considered rumor coming to the Nintendo Switch, although no one has never confirmed or denied that, but hey, anything can happen. But for right now, it looks like a release date is sort of set. We'll see if they stick to that release date and all. And in a non-movie related one, we just saw the trailer for Godzilla vs. King Kong and all. And I will say, minus the hip-hop music that they had playing with it, it does look interesting, though. Hopefully I could try to see it and all that stuff. Apparently it seems as though WB will be taking the approach with Wonder Woman 84 and a lot of their movies that will be released in theaters and on HBO Max, though. Considering how well Wonder Woman 84 did for Warner Brothers and that approach they took, it doesn't surprise me they're going to do it with this one, with Godzilla vs. Kong and all. But we'll see how this one does. Hopefully this one financially does better than, say, Godzilla King of the Monsters, though, which I think came out back in 2019. I thought that movie was good. I thought it was definitely, it felt like, I thought that one was an improvement over, I think, the 2015, I assume that's the right year, of the Godzilla movie and all. Okay, with the quick My 2 cent part now done, we'll get started with our first story. And this one has to do with Microsoft, particularly with the Xbox, though. And obviously, last year, Microsoft released their Xbox Series S and X, though, despite the fact that some people, like with the PS5, are having a hard time trying to pick up, though. Although I was able to get an Xbox Series S, and I still stand behind my belief that getting an Xbox Series S was easier than getting an Xbox Series X. I'm not saying it was perfect. I'm not saying there's still issues to find one, but I found it to be much easier to get that one. But anyway, it seems as though with that they released their sales figures, or at least released their revenue or fiscal report in terms of it, the Xbox and all that stuff, and it seems to be doing very well, not only with the along with the Xbox Game Pass. However, Microsoft also kind of shot themselves in the foot this week when it was reported that the Xbox Gold was going to be seeing a price hike. Now, that didn't exactly sit very well with everyone, to be exact. And in an article from Pure Xbox, link will be in the description down below, they basically admit that it messed up and they will no longer increase the price for Xbox Live Gold. They said also that free-to-play games will no longer require a sub. According to the article, it says, quote, following the negative response to Microsoft jacking up the price for Xbox Live Gold, the company has announced that it will no longer be increasing the price of its long-running subscription service. In an updated post over on the Xbox website, the company admit it messed up and that the fans were right to let it know. As a result of this feedback, it reversed the decision and has decided not to make any changes. According to the statement that they made, quote, we messed up today and you were right to let us know. Connecting and playing with friends is a vital part of gaming and we failed to meet the expectations of players who count on it every day. As a result, we have decided not to change the price of Xbox Live Gold. If you are an Xbox Live Gold member already, you'll stay at your current price for renewal. New and existing members can continue to enjoy Xbox Live Gold for the same price they pay today. In the US, it's $9.99 or $10 for 1 month, $24.99 for 3 months, $25, I assume, $39.99 for 6 months, which is $40, and $59.99 for retail 12 months, which is $60. In addition to this, it's decided to turn this moment into an opportunity by announcing that all free-to-play games will no longer be requiring an Xbox Live Gold membership. And they made a statement saying, we are working hard to deliver this change as soon as possible in the coming months. So obviously, Microsoft kind of shot themselves in the foot on this, though. But at the very least, they made the right decision to course correct this in a way, and so the price is probably going to be the same as it was before. The fact that free-to-play games are now require an Xbox Live Gold subscription is nice, although I do kind of admit, why wasn't that implemented in the first place? It seems kind of ridiculous that you need to use their Xbox Gold membership to just play free-to-play games. So to me, it doesn't make any sense. But nevertheless, it looks like they basically are reversing course on this. Despite this sort of hiccup that they got themselves into, it seems as though, according to the report on the records on the fiscal report, it seems that they're doing very well thanks to not only the Xbox Series S and X, but also with Game Pass in general. Let me get the article. In an article from IGN, though, again, links will be in the description, though, it reads that, quote, Microsoft has posted record profits this quarter, including a boom in the gaming sector, which has revenue up 51%. The company as a whole posted a record-breaking $43.1 billion in revenues. In its most fiscal earnings report for the period ending on December 31st, 2020, Microsoft shared that revenue increased by 17% to reach $43.1 billion and $15 billion in profit. As per case for the last several quarters, profits were driven by Microsoft's cloud gaming, but that doesn't mean there were other successful ventures, though. Hardware saw the biggest growth thanks to the launch of the Xbox Series X and S. Microsoft says the gaming hardware segment grew 86% thanks to the new hardware, though the company hasn't shared exact numbers. Meanwhile, Microsoft reports that revenue has grown 51% overall in games, with Xbox content and service revenue up 40%. The growth has been attributed to third-party titles, Xbox Game subscription, and first-party titles. According to the Microsoft CEO during a conference call, Xbox Game Pass now has 18 million subscribers. The numbers also don't take into account Microsoft's ZeniMax acquisition, Bethesda and all, which says it is expected to close later this year. News of Microsoft's success quarter has pushed up Microsoft stock. The success of the company is, of course, based on a broad array of products and offering, not just gaming. Microsoft's line encompasses software, apps, home computers, and more, while the R&D department dabs in projects like putting servers underwater. Don't know how that works, but we'll see, though. So it seems, as far as the gaming division goes on Microsoft, though, it seems that things are doing very well for them. So obviously, right now, the Xbox Series X and S is doing great for Microsoft at this time. It doesn't seem to be suffering the same fate at the very least with the Xbox One, but we'll see over in the long run to see how well it goes. But for right now, obviously, these are apparently good news for Microsoft, especially with the purchase of Bethesda, which now has started to speculate that with that purchase, some are wondering whether Microsoft might be buying another studio, to be exact, and rumors have started to pop up. In another article from Pure Xbox, it reads that, quote, it has only been a few months since Microsoft announced its massive $7.5 billion acquisition of Bethesda's parent company ZeniMax Media, and now another sizable acquisition could be in the works. That, according to new rumor doing the rounds, which suggests that Microsoft is in the talk with at least one major company, but there's no concrete information as of yet, and it probably won't happen for a while. This is pointed out by a post on Twitter, which someone wrote to someone saying, "Is this true?" And a person says, "I too have heard things along this line, but nothing concrete yet." There has been this has come from several Xbox insiders, included a Windows editor, Jez Cordon, and a reporter, Brad Sam. The article concludes that there's nothing else to go on for now, but we certainly intrigued by the development, especially as multiple insiders seem to be suggesting that this could be a possibility. We'll have to wait and see what happens from here. It would be very interesting to see if Microsoft decides to go through with another purchase, especially given the amount of money they spent to buy ZeniMax and all. Some people have speculated that Sega could be that company Microsoft buys, which I will get to that in part 4 of this video regarding Sega's. Other might be the report of the former creator of Dead or Alive, who has expressed interest in working with Microsoft again. I mean, Microsoft could buy him, or it could be somebody surprising on the same level as it is with Bethesda. But like anything, this is a rumor right now, so there isn't really a whole lot to go on at this time. But it wouldn't surprise me if Microsoft pulls something like this, and if they do something like this again, it does make you kind of wonder, are there going to be pressures on companies like Sony and maybe even Nintendo to make a bigger purchase on the same level as what Microsoft did with Bethesda, but not the kind of purchase we saw with Nintendo buying Next Level Game or Sony buying Insomniac. So time will tell if this turns out to be true. So overall, kind of mixed news for Microsoft this week. They kind of got a bit of a backlash with the whole of the price hike for Xbox Live Gold. They backtracked it, though I wouldn't be surprised if down the road we see the price increase, though, again, and we'll see if that emerges another backlash. But it turns out from a financial standpoint, they seem to be doing well. Their gaming division seems to be doing well. And as far as this rumor in terms of them buying acquiring another studios on a Bethesda level, though, for now it is a rumor, but it certainly isn't out of the realm of possibility. And it will be very interesting if Microsoft does this again, what studio they decide to buy this time, and whether or not this could put pressure on Sony or Nintendo, or even companies like, say, Amazon with Amazon Luna, or Google with Google Stadia. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to part 2. And this one has to do with Platinum Games in terms of some announcements they have made, though, including a 5th game, 2 issues with Astro Chain, and Bayonetta 3. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 2 of our My 2 Cent video. And for this one, we're going to be talking about some interesting comments and an interesting announcement from Platinum Games. Now, Platinum Games, particularly with one of their employees, Hideki Kamara, if I'm saying his name correctly, is both, a lot of people like them for a lot of the games they have done, but at the same time, they have also been known to do a little bit of controversy and all that stuff. Hideki Kamara is known to troll and also block people, and is very opinionated on some of his comments that he makes. And while some of his opinions do make sense and he's definitely on point, I do feel there are times when I think he comes off as being arrogant or kind of puts his foot in his mouth sometimes and all that stuff. I won't question his skills as a producer and all that stuff, but I do think, like I said before, I do think he can get a little bit arrogant and all that stuff. And Platinum, of course, I do like them as a company, but at the same time, not every decision they make is 100% correct. And of course, last year we had the Platinum 4, which was basically 4 announcements that Platinum made, though, including the announcement of the Wonderful 101 Remastered, though, which a lot of fans, while certainly a lot of people liked that announcement, others felt were not happy with the way Platinum handled that, particularly the Kickstarter, as some felt it was a bit shady for what they were doing and saying that it was just to drive up interest and all that stuff, and many felt that kind of was adding another reason why people have distrust with crowdfunding in general. Full disclosure, I did back Wonderful 101 as a Kickstarter, though, and all that stuff, just for disclosure purpose on that, though. They also announced the opening of a new studio, an upcoming game called Project GG, and then one that turned out to be an April Fool's joke that, well, let's just say rubbed a lot of people in the wrong way and all that stuff. Well, apparently it seems as though Platinum may be working on a 5th game and all that. In an article, if I can get it out, an article from My Nintendo, it reads that, quote, Platinum Games has host of reveals which showcased during 2020, and he did in fact show off 4 projects. The company then teased a 5th mystery game, but the reveal for that never materialized. The Platinum 4 website has since been updated, teasing that the unrevealed 5th game is still coming and will be announced at an undetermined point this year. Platforms have yet to be announced, but hopefully it will include the Nintendo Switch and all that. And for the record, the April Fool's joke was a collaboration between Platinum Game and Hamster Corporation on Soul, ARESTA, which, like I said, didn't exactly sit very well with a lot of folks. As far as what this 5th game will be, it remains to be seen. It could be a collaboration with a studio again. It could be just a brand new IP for them. We know that Platinum has been basically wanting to self-publish, and they certainly are receiving help from Tencent, although that hasn't sat very well with everybody about this Chinese company investing in Platinum and all. As far as what I think the 5th game should be, if you want my honest opinion, and some may agree or disagree, I think I would like it to be either a remake or sequel to Mad World that was originally released on the Nintendo Wii back in 2009. I would love to see that game make a comeback and all that stuff. I personally think it would be great to see it come to the Nintendo Switch and all. Another game I think that should deserve a remake or sequel would be Infinite Space. A little bit rough around the edges, make it a little bit easier to understand but tough to master. That would be another game where I would like to see make a comeback if that is possible. But I am open to a brand new IP if that's the direction they want to go with this 5th game, although they're saying it's sort of small in scale, which I mean, it may not be a huge announcement at all, but well, time will tell to see what this fifth game is. It might be something big, it might be not. I would say for this fifth game, whatever it is, I would recommend you kind of keep your expectations in check, though. In another part with Platinum, it seems as though there are two interesting segments in regards of both Bayonetta 3 and Astro Chain. Now, Astro Chain was one of my favorite games in 2019, though. The one with the collaboration between Nintendo and Platinum, though. The art style looked great. It gave off a bit of a cyberpunk, sort of, you felt like one part Blade Runner, one part Ghost of the Shell. It was definitely one of my favorite games in 2019 for the Nintendo Switch. Now, we've heard some interviews ranging from how Hideki Kamiya was a shoulder to lean on during the development of Astro Chain. But one story that kind of caught my attention, although we now recently learned about this, is that apparently there was an update on the Nintendo website, or at least in Japan, where Platinum was removed from the name and all. And this led to wild speculation of whether or not they don't own the IP and all that stuff. And at the time when I read the story and went over to check the official page for Astro Chain, it looks as though at the time it said developed by Platinum and all that. Well, now it seems as though we now officially have confirmed that Astro Chain is now officially owned by Nintendo. In an article posted on Nintendo Life, it reads that, quote, one of 2019's standout Switch game, Astro Chain, was a bold and exciting new release from Platinum Games, directed by Takasaka Taura. Apologize, I'm not saying his name correctly. The game sold above expectation, which is kind of interesting considering some viewed it as a niche game and all, and showed fans that the studio relationship with Nintendo was strong as ever. The game was, after all, co-owned by both parties. We say was because Platinum Game had confirmed that the Astro Chain IP now belongs solely to Nintendo. Earlier this year, fans have noticed that the game's copyright notice has been tweaked on the studio's website, with Platinum Games' name being removed altogether. Speaking to VGC, Video Game Chronicles, the studio head has confirmed that the change is no mistake. According to the comment he made, quote, it as it looks, as it is written on the website. Astro Chain is their IP, and as such, there are limitations on how much we feel we should talk about it. As VGC mentions in the report, it would be surprising if Platinum simply handed over a share of the IP without a second thought. The studio had been working hard to reposition itself as a company capable of self-publishing, and just last year, it wasn't rule out that Astro Chain could end up on rival systems. Of course, with last year's remaster, Nintendo allowed the wonderful 101 to do that exactly. It's unclear what this means for the IP going forward. There had been talks of potential sequels, but if Nintendo has indeed taken full ownership of the franchise, things may be a little different than originally planned, though. So I'm somewhat kind of mixed on this to a certain degree, though. On one hand, though, I'm very happy to see that Nintendo owns the IP in a certain way, because hopefully this means that with the success of the first game, that means that a sequel could happen. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it could be on the same level, could be on the same approach similar to what Red Dead Redemption 2 was, where that is, although that's a sequel, that is a prequel to the first game. They could do that, or a full-blown sequel. On the other hand, though, it does make me kind of worry that if a sequel does happen, does that mean that Platinum is not going to get involved in any way? And I'm kind of concerned just a little bit about that, though. I'm not saying another studio couldn't maybe do a sequel and do an awful job. They could do a good job, but I personally would feel more comfortable if a sequel does happen, that I would like Platinum to handle it. That's like having Bayonetta 3, which I'm going to get to, having Platinum not handle Bayonetta 3 and let someone else handle it, which may not sit well for everyone. Plus, it risks basically the possibility that it could end up being a horrible game and all that stuff. So time will tell in terms of Astro Chain what this means for it going forward into the future. Hopefully this means that it's an important IP for Nintendo. Hopefully this means we'll see a sequel, and I think I hope that happens though, but we'll have to wait and see. And I do hope that Nintendo and Platinum can still work together on all that stuff. I really think it is. I really would like to see them continuing to work together. It would be a shame if that partnership, they both part ways and all that stuff. I understand Platinum wants to self-publish titles. I don't completely disagree with that, but I do hope they continue with this kind of partnership in a way, though. And last but not least, we do want to talk about a comment that Hideki Kamiya has made that isn't sitting well with everyone, and this has to do in regards of Bayonetta 3. Originally announced during the Video Game Awards shows back in 2017, it was supposed to be basically, a Switch exclusive, but ever since the trailer was shown, things have been very quiet about it. There have been speculations and rumors going along to basically the possibility the game has been canceled, the game has been rebooted for a lot of folks. Some people believe that they announced it too soon, like with the situation with Metroid Prime 4 and all. And there have been cases where Hideki Kamiya has claimed that he's been asked about Bayonetta 3 so many times to the point that that's one of many reasons, although not the only reason, but one of many reasons why he has blocked people on his Twitter account. Well, his recent comments about it has certainly not, well, let's just say it certainly doesn't sound great, at least the way he is saying it, though. In another article from Nintendo Life, it reads that, quote, "Fans should forget about Bayonetta 3 for now," says Platinum's Hideki Kamiya. It reads that, quote, has now been just over 3 years since Bayonetta 3 was first confirmed to be in development for the Nintendo Switch. But since then, we have little to go on other than little reassurance telling us that things are going very well, very smooth, fine, and very well again. It looks like we might still be a fair ways away from learning more, however. Platinum's co-founder Hideki Kamiya has already told fans he had hoped to share more on the title in 2021, but thanks to a new interview with VGC, it seems that nothing's set in stone just yet. Here's what Kamiya had to say when asked about this potential 2021 update. It reads, quote, "It's not really our position to say, but it's January. We got to have something come out, right? I guess it's safe to expect something will come out. There's still a lot of years left. That is what I am saying." When asked when further clarification on what we can expect this eventual update, Kamiya joked to fans should reset and forget about the game so that any new announcement will be a welcome surprise. "I understand it's driving fans crazy. In light of that, my suggestion would be that maybe we should all reset and forget about Bayonetta 3. Then when something finally does happen, it will be a nice surprise, won't it though?" Yes and no on what Kamiya is saying, though. I mean, on one hand, I understand people that they'll announce it when the game's ready, but at the same time, saying something like just forget about it, or at least the way he said it, though, gives the impression right off the bat that the game is not okay, that there is certainly having hurdles and issues, and like I mentioned before, there are rumors that the game had to reset development and all that stuff. And well, and right now a lot of people think the game is actually canceled and all that stuff, which wouldn't shock me, but it would be somewhat of a disappointment on that stuff. And I think if this is him, trying to joke or troll people again, like he normally does, I don't think it's helping the situation, though. Time will tell, and maybe we'll actually hear an announcement or hear something in regards of Bayonetta 3. Maybe, I'm hoping it's a positive announcement, but we'll have to wait and see. But overall, in regards to Platinum, though, I'm curious to see what this 5th game is going to be. Hopefully it's something good, but I'll keep my expectation in check. Very interesting to hear that Nintendo now owns the rights for Astro Chain. It's going to be interesting to see what the future of that franchise is going forward. Hopefully it's a positive future. Hopefully Platinum and Nintendo could still collaborate and work together. As far as the comment about Bayonetta 3, that we should forget about it for now, yeah, I have doubts people are going to forget about Bayonetta 3 for now, though. And that comment, I think, gives the impression right out of the gate, even if it's not 100% true, the fact that they probably the game is in development hell, or it's in serious trouble, or it's possible it could be canceled. Again, that's speculation. I could be wrong on that, but right now, I think a lot of people are, a lot of Nintendo fans particularly, are kind of worried about in regards of Bayonetta 3. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to part 3, and this one has to do with the whole situation with GameStop and the whole stock kind of issue that seems to be going on, that it's sort of caught people's attention, even as far as with the United States government. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 3 of our My 2 Cent video, and for this one, we're going to be talking about the odd and crazy situation we're seeing with GameStop, particularly its stock and all that stuff. Now, GameStop has been sort of, for a lot of people, has been bleeding money over the years in terms of, especially as we start moving towards whole like digital, in terms of buying games digitally and all that stuff. Some agree with that, some don't. But GameStop's also been known for a lot of its controversy. Last year when the start of the whole COVID-19 pandemic started going on, GameStop tried to position itself as an essential place and all that, and that got them into a whole mess of trouble, especially when we started hearing reports of how even the employees have not been equipped with sanitizing equipment and all that stuff. This led to some major backlash to them, and honestly, I think they kind of deserved the backlash to them sort of changing some of their policies and all that stuff. But putting that aside, they've been in a tough spot in the money situation, though, even though they've hired new CEOs, including Reggie Fils-Aimé. Well, recently, it seems that GameStop, along with AMC Entertainment and BlackBerry, is sort of caught in sort of a situation where it's coming off as sort of like a Robin Hood, rob from the rich, give to the poor, or steal from the rich in general, though. Again, I'm not a big financial expert. I don't really know a whole lot of stuff, and I've been trying to read to get as simple information as much as possible on this, but it seems as though from what we're hearing, it's basically folks on Reddit decided to do something to sort of go after a lot of these hedge fund groups. From an article on Nintendo Life, it reads that, quote, "To cut a long story short, Reddit is trying to bankrupt hedge fund managers for the lots, LOLS. Basically, a bunch of investors bet on GameStop's stock crashing, which is probably would have done considering how the chain has been suffering during the pandemic and in the longer term due to increased digital game sales. They did something called a shortcut option, which is, to put it in a way more simpler than it actually is, agree to sell your shares at a fixed price within the given time frame. It's a gamble, but usually an informed one. If you agree to sell your shares to, say, $100 each, but you expect the value of those shares to go down, you'll likely turn a nice profit. If the share goes above $100, you lose out on the potential profit you could have made. Essentially, you want the stock to drop if you want to make money." How they point out to a really long financial article it's a series from Tiki Tonk and all that stuff. Following so far, well, it turns out member of a specific investor subreddit called r-Wall Street Bet saw this as an opportunity to mess with the investors that were taking the short call option. GameStop was the most shorted stock on Wall Street, at around 30% of the share being used for this get-rich-quick scheme, so it made the perfect target. Reddit eventually didn't like seeing a bunch of rich people make more money than they needed, and so they decided to take things in their own hands, vigilante style. They started to buy up these cheap shares, rapidly inflating the value well beyond what those hedge fund managers were hoping for. Some of these Reddits have been paying thousands of dollars to get on something that's part meme, part money-making scheme, and part stick it to the bid guy. The best part is that a lot of this trading took place on an app called Robinhood, where trades are free, Unlike a lot of similar service, it's literally robbing the rich to feed the poor. At the beginning of 2021, GameStop shares were worth around $20 each. Now they're worth $300 each, although that price is fluctuating wildly. It's worth noting that Reddit's strategy is a dangerous one that can mean massive profits up to 3,000 times what you brought in so far, but the share price won't stay artificially inflated forever. Some people will make millions of dollars. Other people might lose everything they have if they don't sell it at the right time. It seems that Reddit isn't done with the market yet. Reports have been trickling in about AMC and BlackBerry, an American cinema chain, and a Canadian tech company being the next target and all. So apparently a lot of it, basically, if to easily sum it up, it's basically what it is. It's a Robin Hood. It's like rob from the rich, give to the poor kind of situation. But supposedly this Robin Hood like app and all decided to stop trading for GameStop and all that stuff, and that led to some major backlash and possibly a potential lawsuit. In an article from CNET, it reads that, quote, Robinhood allows limit buys on GameStop AMC. Users can only buy one share at a time. According to the article from CNET, it says GameStop stock market adventures continues with shares jumping more than 70% in early trading Friday. The spike comes as Robinhood opens limited buys of GameStop, AMC, and other stocks after the trading app restricts some transactions the day before. However, Robinhood's limited purchase to just one share and removed the option to buy fractional shares, according to a blog post. Robinhood on Friday also confirmed that it's temporarily turning off instant buying powers for cryptocurrency due to extraordinary market conditions as the price of Bitcoins and Dogecoin, a digital coin named after a popular dog meme, also rose sharply. Behind the metric rows of GameStop, Dogecoin, and other stocks, Reddit users who band together to take on the Wall Street establishment. The rebellion experienced a hiccup when individual investors found out that some trading sites and apps have restricted transactions in security of the beat-up video game retailer, as well as the movie chain AMC and other companies. Robinhood, a popular investor app, prevented customers from purchasing more shares of several companies, but it's allowing for limited buys starting Friday. On Thursday morning, Twitter users began posting screenshots of their Robinhood app that shows a message appearing on the page of GameStop, AMC, Nokia, and Bed Bath & Beyond. The stock is not supported on Robinhood. Robinhood explained the move in a blog post before trading open. In light of the recent voluntary, we are restricting transactions for certain securities to positions closing only, including AMC, BB, BBBY, AXPR, GME, KOSS, NAKD, and AOK, the companies wrote. In addition to AMC, Bed Bath & Beyond, GameStop, and Nokia, the company listed by ticker symbols and phone maker BlackBerry fashion retailers, Express, headphone maker Koss, and underwear company Naked Brand Group. Robinhood later sent an email to customers saying it will allow limited buys for those securities starting Friday. It said that the decision to restrict the purchase of the certain stocks were due to regulations from the U.S. Security and Exchange Commission. The Robinhood CEO went on CNBC Thursday afternoon to explain why the investment app decided to restrict users from purchasing shares of GameStop, AMC, and other companies. It reads a quote, "In order to protect the firm and protect our customers, we have limited the buy of the stock," he said. He also denied there were any liquidity issues with the company. One of the Twitter accounts, which is tied to the Reddit community that has been driven recent trades, said the freeze harms small traders and favors the Wall Street establishment. It reads a quote, "Individual investors are being stripped of their ability to trade on the Robinhood app," the tweet said. Meanwhile, hedge funds and industry investors can continue to trade as norm. Robinhood users flooded the Google Play Store app and Apple App Store with negative app reviews. There were so many one-star ratings that Google intervened to remove tens of thousands of them, aka review bombing. A class action lawsuit was filed Thursday in the Southern District of New York. The complaint said that the company purposely, willfully, and knowingly removed the stock GameStop, from its trading platform in the midst of an unprecedented stock rise, depriving retail investors of the ability to invest in the open market. Red WE Bull, another investing service, tweeted Thursday that it has begun restricting trades on shares of GameStop, AMC, and costs. They cited the extreme volatility of the stock in limited users transaction to closing position. It has later removed those positions. Still with me? There's a whole lot. U.S. Representative Tabla, TLAIB, again, I apologize if I'm not saying the name correctly, though. A Democrat from Michigan has called on the House Committee on Financial Service to hold a hearing on Robinhood's action. She describes its effect as a market manipulation or something. She wrote on Twitter, quote, "This is beyond absurd. FCC dams need to have a hearing on Robinhood's market manipulations. They're blocking the ability to trade to protest Wall Street hedge funds, stealing millions of dollars from their users to protect people who use the stock market as a casino for decades." Other members of Congress, including Representative Alexander Cortez, AOC, and Senator Ted Cruz, agreed with the calling for a hearing, although there has been some reports that AOC does not want to work for Ted Cruz after what happened on January 6, 2021, the Capitol, and she has called for his resignation and all that. So, anyway, continue on. The SEC said Friday that it will closely review Robinhood's action. TD Ameritrade, another brokerage, said Wednesday it would put restrictions on trading of stocks for GameStop, AMC, and others. The brokerage firm confirmed that the restrictions saying it made a decision out of the abundance of caution amidst unprecedented market conditions and other factors. In the interest of mitigating the risk for our companies and clients, we have put several restrictions on some transactions in GameStop, AMC theaters, and other security, TD Ameritrade said. A TD Ameritrade spokesman said the restrictions include increased requirements needed to borrow money from stocks, known as margins, and limit transaction as short sale. NASDAQ CEO told CNBC on Wednesday that the stock exchange will halt trading and investigate if it believes someone was manipulating the market. AMC is listed on NASDAQ, while GameStop is traded on the New York Stock Exchange. And it says that the White House is also monitoring the situation, though. So this is a whole lot. I mean, this is pretty interesting to see the fact that a video game company or a video game retailer like GameStop it's sort of caught in the middle of this, and it'll be very interesting to see how much of this it turns into a positive thing for them or a negative thing. But the fact that we're seeing something like this happen is pretty amazing and all that stuff. Should people invest and do something like this? From what I've been hearing, a lot of people are saying you probably want to speak with your financial advisors before you decide to do something as risky as this. And some people don't agree with what's going on here, as some people think that this is basically like a bubble ready to burst. Others feel that this is sort of like going after, the rich people, going after the rich, where it's like the rich get richer and the poor get poorer kind of a situation and all that stuff. And it's going to be really interesting to see if there is a congressional hearing, what emerges from this. So overall, this is just a bizarre situation to see GameStop, and not to mention other companies as well, to see this kind of situation with the whole involving the stock market and even the US government and all. What emerges from this, however, that's going to be very, very interesting to see if there is any change in the way Wall Street operates or not. So it's a really bizarre situation that we're seeing here, though. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to our fourth and final part. And this one has to do with a report coming out about the possibility that it's possible Sega might be up for sale, even though we've heard this rumor before. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with our fourth and final part of our My 2 Cent video, and for this one we're going to be talking about an interesting report that has come out in regards of Sega, which has led to some speculation about the possibility of it being acquired and all that stuff. Now, since the 2000s and when Sega decided to exit out of the hardware business altogether and focus on just the software or becoming a third party, though, it's been kind of sort of an up and down with them, though. While they have published and even produced some pretty good games, though, Valkyrie Chrono 1, 4, Sky of Arcadia, and all that stuff, they've also had their own shares of their games not doing as well, such as the situation with a lot of their Sonic games not hitting the spot that they would like to be, especially with games like Sonic Boom Rise of Lyrics, to the whole controversy with Alien Colonial Marines, although majority of that falls on Gearbox and Randy Pitchford to be exact, though. And but over the years we've also seen them, team up and bring some of their games, bring some games, especially maybe at the time exclusive for just basically the system, particularly the Xbox, with House of the Dead 3, although that has been on other systems as well. Panzer Dragoon, I forgot what the last name was. I apologize. Yeah, one of the Panzer Dragoon games, and of course Jet Set Radio Future and all. But now we're hearing reports of basically a restructuring, and this has led to some speculation that it could lead to them being purchased and all that stuff. In an article from basically Nintendo Life, it reads that, quote, Sega splitting its amusement and video game division, triggering rumors that an acquisition is afoot, though. Move would accelerate global business development, though. The article reads that, quote, Japanese game giant Sega is making some pretty sweeping changes at the moment, splitting its video game and its amusement division and shifting CEO, or let's just say the person who helped create, the Yakuzari, so if I'm saying the name correctly, I apologize if I'm not, into the position of creative director effective the 1st of April, though. Interesting enough, considering that's April Fool's Day, but anyway, continue on. Both of these new businesses will remain under the ownership of Sega Sammy, and the move is intended to accelerate global businesses development by streamlining Sega Sammy structure and accelerate decision making. It also notes that the split is intended to transform Sega's business structure to adapt to external environments. While the focus is clearly on tidying things up behind the scenes, the split has triggered speculation online that Sega's bosses are making sure any potential purchase of the business can go ahead as smooth as possible. While this appears to be little more than idle chat at this stage, we've seen plenty of rumors during the rounds over the past few years that Sega is going to get gobbled up by a bigger fish, so it's natural tempting to speculate on what the future will hold for the Japanese venture. However, over at Push Square, their article is saying something differently, though. It says that, quote, of course, that's not stopping wild speculations from emerging online, suggesting that Sega is setting the stage for an acquisition of some kind. There's no suggestion of that in the press release at all, with the company focusing on effects of its operation as the main reason behind the restructuring. Ultimately, this is unlikely to have any material impact on the publisher's output from the perspective of consumers, though. So it's possible this could just be nothing more than them just restructuring some stuff here and there, considering that they've been losing money before, though. But I wouldn't completely rule out the possibility that Sega could be purchased, though. That is possible. We could see something like that happen. As I mentioned in the first part, we have heard about Microsoft considering doing another Bethesda acquisition, though, and at least as far as rumors have been pointing towards that, though, and it is possible that Microsoft could technically buy Sega if they want to. Of course, Sony could do that as well, or even Nintendo too. I mean, is it possible that this rumor could be true, that they're opening doors of them being purchased and all that stuff? Again, that is a possibility. If they do get purchased, and some might consider this a fanboy comment or anything like that, I personally think Nintendo would be the best bet, though. I personally think Nintendo, or should I say the perfect pick, considering we've seen a lot of Sega's games been on Nintendo system before. I mean, Sky of Arcadia's Legends was exclusive on the Nintendo GameCube and all that stuff, or I won't say exclusive, but that version came to there on that system compared to how it was with, I think at the time there was a PS2 version, but that didn't happen and all that stuff. So, I mean, it is possible they could be purchased, but like anything, this could just be nothing more than that they're just fixing things here and there, and it may not be anything spectacular at all. So, overall, it's interesting to see Sega doing some restructuring, though. While it is possible, like I said, they could be gearing up for the possibility of being purchased, especially if it's being purchased by the big three console manufacturers like Sony, Microsoft, or Nintendo, or even the possibility that Google or Amazon might purchase them, though. It sounds like, if based on what's been coming out so far, they're just restructuring some things here and there, so it may not be as big of a deal, but time will ultimately tell if Sega does get purchased or not. Okay, this concludes this My 2 Cent video for this week. And again, these are my opinions. What are yours? What are your thoughts about the situation with Microsoft and the Xbox, from like the Xbox Live Gold thing? Do you think Microsoft shot themselves in the foot when they rose the price, though? Do you think they made the right decision to return the price back to its normal price range and all that stuff? What do you think about their financial report? Do you think this is a good thing indeed? Do you think the Xbox Series X and S will have a better sailing than the Xbox One did, though? And do you think it's possible that Microsoft might pull off another Bethesda-level acquisition? And if that does happen, what studio do you think Microsoft might purchase? And do you think this could put pressure on Sony and Nintendo to make an acquisition very similar to what Microsoft did with Bethesda? What are your thoughts with Platinum Games? Are you curious to see what this fifth game that they want to announce, though? Do you have a good idea what that fifth game might be in any way, though? Are you surprised about Astro Chain now being fully owned by Nintendo? Do you think this is a good thing? Do you think this is a bad thing, though? What about the comments about fans should forget about Bayonetta 3 for now, though? Do you think that maybe we're just going a little bit overboard and maybe the development is not as bad as people make it sound like it is? Or do you think this could be a sign of there might be some development trouble for Bayonetta 3 on the Nintendo Switch? What are your thoughts about the whole situation with the GameStop and the stock situation, though? Do you think it's right what these folks did on Reddit did in terms of they'll take the approach similar to like the Robin Hood approach, rob from the rich, give to the poor kind of situation, though? Do you think the U.S. government or Congress is going to get involved in this whole situation in terms of what this Robinhood app and other security, like TJ, like all these other stock companies are doing and all that stuff? Do you think we could see something like that, or do you don't think anything like this is going to emerge? Do you think this could end up helping GameStop, or do you think this will end up hurting them more? And what are your thoughts about with Sega in terms of this restructuring thing? Do you think this is basically opening the door for them to be purchased in any way, or do you think this is just nothing more than just them moving things around here and there and it's not really a big deal at all? Do you agree with what I said in this video? Do you disagree? Do you have a difference of opinion? As always, sound off on the comment section below. Let me know what you think. And if you like this video, I hope you hit the like button. I would appreciate it. And I hope you do subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you do, make sure you hit the bell icon for notifications of any new videos I put up. Also, feel free to share this video if you want to, and feel free to donate to my channel if you like. You could do it through PayPal Me or Patreon. Links will be in the description of this video. And I will see you again next time when I do another video. Hopefully that will be soon. Until then, from Southern California, I wish you all a good day then. Bye!